Hi everybody, it's Brian. I said I'd come on and talk about the camper van and a few other things. First of all, I'm going to answer a few questions someone's asked me. If someone's asked me, am I bothered? Craig's dead. Was I bothered? Uh, the answer to that, and I'm going to be honest, is no. Sounds sick, doesn't it? You know, why not bothered? Your brother's passed away. I loved my brother, which is a different thing. But am I bothered? No. Why? I just had enough of the beatings, being put on, being accused of things, and the anger that I had inside me many years ago for what I'd been through, and I blame my family for it. So let's do a bit of explaining because some people know bits and some people don't. So when I was young, I was a little fucker. I used to steal everything, food, shops, everything, to survive, to feed my brother, me, beg, everything. You know that side of the story. So I was a handful for my mother that showed me no love. Another thing is, I didn't tell people, is that one day I was at my nan and granddad as a kid, throwing snowballs like you do, and I picked up a snowball which was a bit icy, and I threw it at a young girl and blinded her in one eye. To this day, she's blind. So I got a good hiding for that, and I think that was the last straw. So social service were called in, and I was bunged off to boarding school in Dorset, a school called Stinsford School, at the age of 10 and a half. All the time I was there till I was nearly 16. No one ever come and see me on at school. I never went home at half terms like normal kids do. I was, how can you put it, headmaster's playboy. You have to be careful what you say because there's some people, it upsets. I was the sort of person that ended up in his room more or less every night with other few kids. Now people say, "Why do you do anything about it?" It's easy said than done. I did at the age of 12. I went to the police station with proof late at night, crying nights, and I was called a liar because the bloke was uh, very liked in the town, and everyone thought he was doing a good thing by taking kids like me in and trying to put them right. So he was never believed. So it carried on and carried on and carried on. I went to care once to stay with a couple over a school term break, and they did the same thing to me. Not every time. I went to some good people's houses for some of the kids, and had some brilliant times. So when I was 16, I left boarding school, went home to find my mother and family. Went to Basildon. Was given address 158 Beanbridge, Basildon, Essex. I went round there with my little suitcase as a young kid. 16, still young, I suppose, isn't it? There was no answer, so I knocked on the bungalow next door, which was a biggish lady. She used to foster kids. I told her I was. She told me that I'd find my mother at this address round the corner, a lady's house called Rita's. So I went round there, all excited, thinking I'm going to see my mum. And, she brought me into this world. So I went round there anyway. I knocked on the door. A young lass answered the door. It was Rita's daughter. She called her mum. After I explained who I was, Rita come to the door and said, "Hold on a minute," shut the door and went in. About 5 minutes later, come to the door and said, "I'm sorry, your mum don't want to know you. You don't exist to her." So I stood on the step, crying my eyes out. Nowhere to go, anything. So I made my way back to Dorchester, the only place I knew. The only person I knew. It took me nearly 3 days to get back from it. I had no money. I got back there. I was angry, bitter. I walked into his study, crying, picked up a little knife that you open envelopes with, and stabbed him. I took two uh, records that I see on the side that were mine. One was ABBA and one was ELO. So I stole them, but they were mine. Anyway, I went back to in town after stealing some money from as well. Get the train back to London to get away. I felt relieved after stabbing him. I was arrested. I was put in the police station. I was questioned. I was put into a probation hostel in Weymouth. I had to sign at the police station every day at a certain time until my court case come up. And I remember this. I was going to the police station one day, and there's this little old lady trying to get into her car. She'd locked the keys in it. And as I walked past, you could see she was frustrated. I was not going to sign on. And she said, "Excuse me, young man, can you help me?" Well, I knew how to get in cars. So in the day, I got into the car, got her keys. Went to the police station, signed on, come back out. She was standing there. We started chatting, had a laugh. She had her own big house, and the top part she used to convert into apartments. And she asked me if I would like to be the odd job man in the house, things like painting and gardening. That. So I said, yeah, lovely old lady. But her husband had dementia. So every time I was up the ladder painting, he'd hit me with his walking stick. He didn't do it to hurt me. He didn't know I was. He thought I was a threat to him. I didn't know what dementia was, but that's what he did. He used to hit me. Anyway, I went to court. I was sent to Portland, Borstal. Uh, when I got in there, I was head shaven. I had to march everywhere. I was picked on like most people are the first few days there. You're a newcomer. You get put in your place. But I was the sort of person that was willing to clean people's shoes, clean their rooms, you and me, to have an easy life. So I made my way through Portland, Borstal, with an easy life, got on with everyone. There's some you don't, but the main people you go to, you make sure you're the big lads, Joey's sort of thing, running around doing this, doing that, passing this, whatever they want you to do, you do it. Not sexually, so don't start thinking that, for God's sake. Just to have an easy life. Now, while I was in there, this old girl used to write to me all the time and send me a few quid in, which was fantastic, the lady, because I had no one else. When I'd done my time, I was released and I was asked if I want to go back to, and I went back to Basildon. I was had to report to a probation officer, an old lady who used to have a Labrador dog in her room all the time, always smoking fags. Now, people who've been on probation in Basildon will know this lady. She come from Canberra, I never remember rightly. Anyway, she got me a flat and a job with my mate Mark Randall's dad's company in London. So the reason why I didn't cry over Craig or anything, even though I loved him, I hated my family. I wanted to destroy them for what they put me through at school, Borstal, everything. I wanted to. I was so bitter, so angry. And my sister never done anything to me, but I wanted to destroy her. I did not want to see any of them happy. No. Michael. Michael went to prison once for burning the school down. I was in the open part, and about half a mile up the road, Michael was in the closed part. And then and Greg used to come and see him every fortnight. They never come and see me. No one come and see me. So the anger got more and more and more bitter. When you're a kid, there's only one thing in life you want, and that's someone to love you. Now, people could laugh at this on here and think you fucking idiot, whatever. I don't care. That's the main thing people look for in life. Someone to look up to, someone to love. But I never got that. So I was angry and bitter, twisted. I'd do anything to destroy my family. And I tried. That's the way it went. Well, anyway, Michael, he was taken in by Nan and Grand, looked after he got done for arson. Not long after that, Nan and Granddad died. Michael had Nan and Granddad's house. It was a council house until he got downsized to a flat in Long Riding. Now, Michael had a party one night. We all went, me, Craig, Michael, everyone. We all went to this party. When it comes to the end of the night, everyone went home with their young lasses, where they went, and I stayed with Michael. And this is gospel truth, this is. I went to bed in the spare room, and I presume Michael went to bed in his bed. Now, I lay in bed, I was asleep, and I felt someone pick me up, lift me out of the bed and stand me up. It woke me up. It scared me. I run down the stairs as fast as I could to head out the front door. As you go down the stairs, you turn right as the kitchen front door. I run as fast as I could. As I was running, I see Michael laying on the floor. He'd taken an overdose. Now, I know Michael listens to this, and I know his son does. So ask your dad this. Your brother took an overdose, and I stood over him, thinking to myself, let the fucker die. I don't like him. Peter Lasky took an overdose. No one's going to be blamed for it. But I couldn't. And I phoned an ambulance, didn't I, Michael? And I saved your life. Think about that when you call. Then the time we went to a party in Vange, it was some lass's party in this house, and a few gate crashers turned up, and it ended up with a punch up, and the police turned up. And you were handcuffed. Remember that? Police handcuffed you. You didn't do anything wrong, and I'll give you that, but they handcuffed you and started dragging you out. You kicked off a bit, screaming because you're innocent. And I ran from the kitchen with all the might I could, and I whacked the police officer so hard he fell to the floor. And we ran off laughing, me, you, and Craig and Dave Stratton. And it took us hours with hacksaw blades to try and get you out of those handcuffs. We did in the end. Do you remember all that I did for you? Look, you got pulled over for the Evans job. I didn't grass you up, mate. If I was a police informer, I'd have a handler. Now, in not one record, it got me down as a handler. So I didn't. I was on surveillance. You knew that. Craig knew that. So that's why I was a bitter. That's why I was a bitter person those days. I didn't give a fuck about any of my family. Never do. Never will. Anyway, we're going to come off that. But that's that question someone asked me. So that's trying to explain that bit of why I wasn't bothered. We're going to go to the campervan. Now, the campervan was brought from Manchester after I come out of prison, 94. It's in my book. I bought it with a banker's draft. I took it back to Essex in Romford, and it was put in storage by Tony and Craig, as far as I know. I never see it again after when it went. About 2 or 3 weeks later, Mark introduced Craig and Tony to a lad in London called George. Now, I'm not going to give George's last name. If you Google things when I finish this, you'll know what I'm talking about. Now, George knew this bloke, and Mark did, that used to live in Ireland from Cork, that could get anything you want for the right money, anything. There was no limit to it, and the lad come from Amsterdam. Now, I can say his name because Tommy's died now, Tommy Savage, but his partner and his close friend are still alive. Now, they, if they want to, can turn around and say I'm telling the truth. That's up to them. They don't give their real name. So, this is how it goes. Craig asked me if I would take the camper van to Amsterdam from Harwich. So we were going to a port, Cork port or something, and it was about 20, 25 miles from there to Amsterdam. So I said, yeah, I'd do it for the money. I'm not going to lie. But I had to take a female with me. Now, I'm not going to give the lass's name. I know she's on here. And if you wish to come forward and say, yes, Brian's in the church, so I'm going to put her down as a name called Jackie. Believe it as that. So we sailed from Harwich to Cork Port into Amsterdam. We spent the weekend there. Mark came out of a bag, and in the bag was a small parcel. Mark went over as a foot passenger, and then he got in the camper van the other side. So we were all three of us together. We got there. Mark came out with a parcel. Some bloke come out, stocky built, not much area. I don't know who he was. Mark gave me the bag, and in the bag was only a small parcel. It was like a trail run. Now, the back of the camper van used to have a fixed bed. So we cut down the side of the mattress, put the small parcel in the mattress, and turned the mattress over so the cut was facing the wall. Me and the young lass headed back to Harwich docks with the campervan. Got home, no suspicion at all. I was quite excited. I was scared because I know in those days if you got caught, you'd look at it long term. But I was thinking of the money, so I was being stupid. But anyway, we got back. Everything went smooth. Everything was paid for. About a month later, probably less than that, they wanted to go again. But this time it was going from Hull. Okay, you never go from the same port. So me, Craig, and Mark drove to Hull. We got to Hull. We was sailing about 8 in the morning, I think, half 8. I can't remember now. So we got into Hull about 6, 7 o'clock at night. We parked in a big car park opposite the port. Because if you go inside the port, you have to book in. You can't come back out. So we parked in there. We had a bit of gear, had a laugh and joke, and we decided to go for a drink down the old part of Hull. Now, we didn't know Hull, so we got a taxi. And in a taxi, we asked the taxi driver the best place to go. So he took us to this pub. I think it might have been called something like the Eldy Grey or something. I can't remember. I remember rightly. We walked in there, and it was full of men and a few women. And there was women dancing in cages in the nude. It was so fucking comical. I couldn't believe it. So we stayed in there a bit. We made I wouldn't say friends, but we had a chat with some lads. We asked the best place to go for a good night. So we come out there. We walked through the old part of Hull. Then we made our way down to a place called something Planet Nightclub, I think it was, a big one. So we stayed in there to about, I think it was about 1:30, 2 in the morning, buzzing out of our heads. I had a few drinks. I was a bit drunk and buzzing out. Yeah, went to the taxi rank, which was outside Hull railway station. There was a queue there of about 15, 20 people. So we stood in the queue. I was eating a kebab and there was something to eat. Was having a laugh. And out of the blue, a fight started. Well, it wasn't a fight. A bloke was hitting a woman he was with, I presume he was hitting her. And I mean hitting her. Not just pushing her up, that he was hitting her, punching her. Like a stupid idiot I am, I didn't think anything. I chucked my kebab down before Craig or Mark were saying to me, run over and punch the lad. The lad fell to the floor. He banged his head. He didn't die or unconscious. The woman started screaming at me. Craig come over and called me a fucking idiot and said, you're going to fuck things up, and fucked off. I got arrested. Now, it's on police record burner, so you can phone your friend, police officer, and say, was Brian arrested in Hull in 94? And he would say yes. So I was taken to the police station, kept in to sober up and asked questions later. About 4 or 5 hours later, they come and got me. I was charged with assault. The bird turned around and said that I started the fight and that a fella never hit you. Because it was so late on the evening, I had no witness to prove anything. Craig and Mark weren't going to get involved, were they? Not what they were doing. So I was released. I got a taxi down to where we parked the camper van. They were gone. They went themselves. I had to make my way back to Basildon, which I got a train to London, and then London, Vendor Street to Basildon. Craig turned back out 2 days later with Mark, fuming at me that I'd let him down. I put everything in jeopardy. They brought quite a big parcel back. So that's the story of that. And on the third run, they wouldn't let me do it. They didn't trust me after what happened in Hull. So they got a couple, I presume they're a couple, a man and a woman, so Mark told me. But they went from Dover this time and drove through to Amsterdam to make it a bit of a holiday, because you've got to be careful. That camper van's gone out the country 3 times in less than 6 months. So they went as a couple. They went out to get a big parcel. And I was told on the way back, they got caught. He ended up in Canterbury prison and she ended up in Holloway. The drugs and the camper van were confiscated. Craig went to see the lad in Canterbury, told him to keep his mouth shut and he'd be taken care of. That's all I know about that. But I understand The cargo coming back was never paid for. Now, Craig and Tony said it wasn't their fault, that someone must have been following them from Amsterdam. And Tommy Savage said, well, his fault, once it left his hands, it's your responsibility. So there was money owed there. That is why two lads come in the Powerhouse pub with shooters looking for us. But prior to coming into the Powerhouse pub, they went to my brother's flat, Michael, there, because someone said we might have been there. Michael got a smack out of it, see the shooter, but it didn't. I don't think he told them where we was. Anyway, they come to us. Craig jumped through the window. I follow. I cut my wrist at hospital. That's the camper van we was used for 3 runs. Now, the officers that knew about the camper van, okay, one was Jack Bowler. Now, I got friends with Jack Bowler, not to grass people. Let me explain. A few years after I left boarding school and got a good life, Jack Bowler come round to see me, telling me that George Frederick Rigger had been arrested for sexually abusing kids at the school, and that my name was put up as one of the kids. Now you got to remember, now I was a young lad, and I knew for a fact that my name would be put in the paper, and it's embarrassing. I was embarrassed, so I denied anything ever happened to me. And Jack said, I know where you're coming from, Brian. I understand. Now, I heard from Jack that my mother phoned the headmaster, or phoned someone related to the headmaster, blackmailing him, that I'd keep my mouth shut if the money was paid. That's what Jack told me. I don't know what happened, but I never admitted to the abuse till later on in life when I was interviewed by another officer. Then I did admit it, and he went to prison. He was prosecuted, went to prison, and he died. Okay, so that's George Frederick Rigger that ruined every kid's life he could. Now, people are going to say to you, why would Mark Randall trust you? You just known him. Well, I'm going to explain to you. Mark Randall's dad company got a contract to shot blast Blackfriars Bridge. Okay, so what they did, they scaffold all the bridge out and sheet it up, and we'd shot blast the whole metal and respray the bridge. And at the bottom of the Thames, by the pillars, used to be a boat every day, a bloke in it, going just round and round in case anyone ever fell in. The tide was ridiculous. So Mark's dad said to me and Craig one day, do you want to earn yourself a couple of grand? Doing what? We wanted to go sweep all the shop and the old bits of metal we shot blast off, cut the polythene down the side of the pillars and sweep it in the Thames. Now, normally you would bag it up, drag it across the scaffold and go into a skip, which would work out a hell of a lot of money. You imagine how big that bridge is. But if you got caught chucking stuff in the Thames, the fine was even bigger. So one night we did. Me, Mark and Craig went in. We spent half the night sweeping all the shit down to the pillar. And then later on we cut the polythene. It wasn't polythene, it was quite thick. Visqueen, we were going to call it. We'd cut it and push it into the Thames. You couldn't do it all at once because the dust would go mad upside the pillars and people would notice walking past. So every now and then we're sweeping the Thames. So we got rid of all the shot blast and metal from Blackfriars Bridge into the Thames. So the Mayor of London now, I do apologise, but there's been a lot of shit put in that Thames over the years, so that bit of shot won't hurt you. Anyway, that's how I built Mark Randall's trust up. Okay. So I worked with Mark Randall for a few years. Craig worked with him for about a year and probably less than a year, to be honest with you. After his tyre fitting company, he realised he could make a lot of money out of pills after Mark introduced him to one of me. So I blame that for that. So that's the camper van. Now, Jack Bowler used to get a few backhanders for keeping us informed on things, what was going down, if we were being watched, spoke about, that sort of thing. Gary Duckrill turned a blind eye a few times if he was given some bigger dealers, which he was from Craig. So I was talking to Jack and looking after Jack, and Craig was talking to Gary. So the corrupt police is all round Basildon. Always have been, always will be. So that's the story of my camper vans. Right. I've asked some more questions. Now, I worked, like you say, for Yorkshire Water, Bernard. And my gaffer is a South African. I'm not getting you, Bernard. Well, I am, really. He's South African. And he's lived in Johannesburg until he's 35 years of age, I believe. And he works over here. He's my works manager. And he brought my book and he read my book. And I said to him, it's Bernard's book. And he read your book, Bernard. And he found it very interesting one day. He came to me and said, I find this very interesting. I said, why? He said, because the prison Deacliff doesn't exist in Johannesburg. I said, it does. That's where Bernard was arrested and put in Johannesburg. And he Googled it and Googled it in front of me. And we couldn't find that prison, Bernard. If you've lied about a fucking prison, what else you lied about? Now, people can Google this as much as they want tonight, and you'll never find the prison that Bernard's supposed to have been in Johannesburg. So anyway, that's another story, Bernard. That's another thing you've got to explain. Another thing, someone's been texting me that knows you, Bernard, very well. Used to be a doorman with you. And he's going by I'm not going to give his last name, because I don't know if it's true, but he's give his name Gavin. And he used to run the doors with you. And he's been telling me how much of a bully you are and how much of a liar you are and how many times you've been done for deception, or is it not deception where you lie to the courts all the time? Is that true? And that you have a bad nerve system and you've been claiming mobility, yet you've been head doorman. And there's people out there, Bernard, that are ill that can't get mobility. It's strange. How do you get away with that one? Head doorman, you get mobility for your nerves. You should be in hospital, Bernard, being sorted out. Up here, I ain't got much of a brain, but I don't think you're fucking far behind me. Anyway, let's get on with all three of us. I've got my stories out there. You don't believe me, Bernard. Colton don't want to speak. He just hides behind his camera and just says his own thing. But Colton has told so many stories. Like, he was number one on the suspect list of the murders, weren't you, Colton? I remember you saying that, yeah. Point is, you was never pulled in, Colton. Never pulled in. What I'm getting at, and I know it's just the same old thing all the time, three of us could probably work out the truth behind all this lot if we sat down and discussed it. Colton turned around and says that Tony was his best mate. Yeah, all you're doing is lying about him, slagging him off. Mate, I was pulled in. I was number one suspect. You weren't pulled in. You weren't even his best mate. You were jealous of Craig. Tony fell out with you. We all know that. I'm not going to go on no more about it. Do a decent thing, mate. Tell the truth for your so-called fucking best mate. Rest in peace, Tony. If not, do it for his dad. You know his dad well. Just tell the truth, mate. And Bernard, you don't know the truth. That's the thing. So I'm no good asking you. Is it? Mobility man. Anyway, I'm not going to go no more because it's being childish like Bernard. But I'm still a child. I'm 61, but I'm still a child, really. I like to enjoy myself. I don't have much of a social life. You know what I mean? But the main thing I changed my life around is I'm 61 now. I've not been in trouble for many years. Do you know why that is? Because someone loves me. It's amazing how that word love can change things in life. When all these little kids out there that their parents don't give a about them and don't love them and turn out the way they do sometimes. Some turn out good. Just be decent to people. Bernard. Anyway, I spoke to someone today, Bernard, that used to work in Rackels. I'm not going to give their name. That's for them to do that. And they know a hell of a lot about you. And this person's going to come forward soon, they told me, and tell the full story about you. And I hope they do, mate. And I hope you get what you deserve for what the trouble you've caused, the heartache, the threats, the bullying. I hope it all comes down like a fucking stack of blocks and squashes you. Yeah, take a few blocks, I know that. You fat lump. Anyway, look, I've told you about the camper vans, the corrupt police officers. And I don't think deep down in my heart that those two are guilty. I don't think they had it in them, to be honest with you. I'm not saying there wasn't any anger between them or hate or bitterness. I'm not saying that. But I don't believe they killed him. I believe it's professional, and I believe the police had some bit of part in it. See, Basildon Police Station are corrupt many years ago. Right, corrupt. You offered them the right money, certain people, they'd take it. Weren't they, Jack? You know what I mean? Going back in our days, kid, me and you in the old pub having a drink, passing the envelope. Yes. You can say what you want, you can have me arrested, but I won't back down over that one, Jack. The price is right. Remember that program? Come on down, the price is right. And Jack Bowler was there every time. I even believe Gary was there. I think Gary went for me because he couldn't get what he wanted to Craig. I can't prove it. I know he was talking to someone. But they'll come out. Everything comes out. You can't hide everything. And Basildon police can't keep hiding. You've put 2 innocent men in prison. And if Bernard didn't keep putting his bullshit out, they might have come out sooner. But then, anyway, another thing, Terry Stone's asked me to do a podcast with him. I'm supposed to do one December, but because I can't get time off, it's no excuse. I'm not making no excuses for it. So I've told Terry, and Terry's all right about it. Then he's given me some dates for January. And I want to do it because I like Terry. I don't care what people say. I like him as an actor. I think he's comical and I think he's straightforward. But I can't do it. The reason why is because you're so much involved with Bernard. And all you will believe, Terry, is what Bernard says. And maybe one day it's all going to come out the truth and you're going to turn around and say, I wished I never believed that fat fucker. Because it's going to come out. It's going to come out.